What is drive shaft angle and how do you adjust it? So whenever you do an engine swap or change motor mounts, change transmissions, do anything that changes the angle of the engine in the car, or whenever you make a ride height adjustment or change rear suspension components, you need to check the drive shaft angle. You want the angle of the transmission tail shaft to be the same as the angle on the pinion in the rear. Now, it's important before you start measuring that you have the rear axle at your actual ride height. So we're going to take our shocks out so that we can actually run the axle up to ride height. Our next step is to measure. Now, to measure the engine side, we just need a nice flat reference point. And when we check there, we get about 5.7 degrees. What we're going to do is we're going to zero this, and then when we go to the rear, it will show us the difference between the two angles. We get about 2.5 degrees, and then we can verify that we've got this nice flat surface on our pinion housing. We've got about 2.5 degrees. So what that's telling us is that the rear axle is actually rotated about 2.5 degrees up relative to the engine. So we need to rotate it back down. We've got a couple shims in here, and so we're going to remove one of them and try to bring that angle back down to where we want it. All right, we've got our shims removed and the truck arms snug back down, and so now it's time to check our angle again. All right, we're going to take our angle on our tail shaft housing one more time and zero our angle finder. All right, now we want this angle to be within 0.5 degree of the last angle. And as it turns out, we are absolutely perfect at 0. Now that's perfect as long as our drive shaft angle is not also 0. While you might think that you would want everything to be perfectly in line, you need to have some misalignment on the U-joints so that they rotate and the needles don't just dig into the cups and ruin the U-joint. This measurement, the working angle of the U-joint, you want to be ideally 3 degrees or less. So to check that, we will once again reference the angle of the transmission and zero our angle finder, and then just simply go to the drive shaft tube, and we have 2.25 degrees. You may also want to check that operating angle of your rear U-joint. However, in our case, we know that the transmission and rear axle are perfectly parallel, so we know that that operating angle is also going to be within spec.